This slide has what, if you are a pessimist, the five risk areas for a failed ERP adoption. If you're an optimist, these are the five ingredients for success. So I'll go with the second. But what it's saying is when you're looking at an ERP solution, are you taking the time to map the corporate vision, the corporate objectives that you're trying to do to the vision of selecting and adopting an ERP solution? Does your team have the appropriate skills and resources to take advantage of the technology that you're going to be purchasing and looking to adopt? Do you have a solution provider that likewise has the skills and resources and knowledge base in your industry for what you're trying to address? Incentives is what we used to call in the old days WIFM, or what's in it for me. This is, have we taken the time and have an actual plan to talk to our entire workforce to over communicate what's in it for them to adopt this new technology, this new ERP solution? If not, we're going to have some freedom fighters out there that are going to want to hold on to their old spreadsheet, their old Microsoft Access database, that information that only they have access to, instead of adopting the new solution and making information visible in real time. Do we have an action plan that's attainable, that's doable, and that's proven? If we don't have any of these things, we're at risk. Whether that's confusion, anxiety, resistance fighters, like I mentioned, or a false start, where we say, yesterday, Jeff, I told you that we were going to do this process that way. Today, I'm telling you it's going to be this way. Tomorrow, I'm going to tell you a third way to do it. It's a recipe for disaster. And so not a lot of folks who haven't been through this ERP are going to be equipped, ERP implementation are going to be equipped to consider all those things and have that in a plan. Kind of compounding that, unfortunately, is behavioral psychology works against us in these evaluations in some ways. Whether we know it or not, important decisions are often based on emotion, and we explain it to ourselves logically. We might not even know that that's occurring. For myself, I look at a purchase that I made. My wife and I and our newborn baby just came back from Australia, and we got a new home. We were looking for a new vehicle. We went to the car dealership, and the salesperson looked at our little baby and said, "Do you live close by this intersection?" And we said, "Yes, we do." He said, "Did you know that this is where the highest number of accidents in the entire state occur? Let me show you how this Ford Explorer is going to keep your baby safe." What he even said after that, I have no idea, and I know my wife didn't either. All we knew is that we were going to keep our baby safe, so we got that Ford Explorer. We, I'm sure, justified it to our friends and family about all the wonderful features that Ford Explorer had, but at the end of the day, that decision was based purely on emotion. Another thing that may be working against us is what our mothers told us years ago, which is first impressions matter. They're lasting impressions. And if we had a first impression about a solution that might not be the best one, but it made an impact on us, without having an objective person nearby, it's going to be tough for us to overcome that. The concept of anchoring is a behavioral psychology principle that basically talks about visual learning, visual processing. The limbic system, or the reptile brain, is the part that processes images. It's extremely fast, much faster than the part of the brain that does logical processing. And folks say they're visual learning, they are. Jeff, as an example, this little guy here, would you say he's happy, mad, glad, or sad?
Looks so sad.
He does. And it takes it instantaneously. We knew that little guy was unhappy about something. You know, on the other end of the scale, what is the answer to this math problem?
Where's my calculator?
I have no idea. Yeah,
Yeah.
I did the slide and I don't have any idea. And you're right.
Oh,
Where although that vision, that visual is immediately processed by us when we get to having to do logical things, it's going to take a little bit more work. And so we need to make sure that we're aware of that and that we can uh, make our decisions knowing that we have these biases. Otherwise, we're going to have some miscommunication, even in our own, where we were looking for one thing as we're going through and trying to develop a solution and getting others involved in that journey. It often turns out to something much different. Yeah. Hopefully, this slide made someone smile. It definitely always makes me laugh when I look at this one. So, instead of engaging solution providers, where we are today, where we've already done what we feel is the full requirements gathering, the full evaluation of solutions, I would recommend getting in touch with CAD Talk early, getting in touch with 3Value early, getting in touch with solution providers at that point where you're starting to define your requirements.